This is All Things Black with Calvin. I'm Calvin. He's Garland. That is the championship belt. And I'm sorry we were having technical difficulties. Somebody didn't want us to be great. They were like, we don't want you all to be great. I think it was some hater out here trying to keep us from being great. But whatever, we're here. We're going to persevere, and we're going to discuss Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Season 1, Episode 5, Choose Your Battles. Just
Yeah.
real quick housekeeping before we get started. I guess this is the battle that we actually had to choose. Some real quick housekeeping to get started, and I put it in the chat. If you do want your chat name to appear in the chat, make sure you use the link that I put in the group. Also, if you're on my personal Facebook page and you want to join the chat, we will not be able to see it. So you will have to join the group page, or you can join All Things Black with Garland and Calvin on YouTube page, or at ATB WGANDC. That's All Things Black with Garland and Calvin, just the initials. And that'll also get you to chat with us, and we'll be able to see the chat. But anyway, after those technical difficulties, which put us a half hour behind, how things going, Garland? How you doing?
Bro, it was the Taliban.
Did you see the people getting out of Afghanistan as quickly as possible? My
Wow.
coworker said they look like the movie with Brad Pitt where they were running from the zombies on the airplane. They were running in the
Something
it was
Planet
bad,
Z or
man.
something. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. World War V. World War
Where was
Z.
where
That's
was
what it
it?
is. World
Right.
War Z.
Where was it?
So yeah, it's been crazy. But
Yeah.
anyway, sir. So we're here. We're about to discuss. I'm a little mad and angry about what wasn't happening, but we're here now. So anyway, let's get started.
What's up? All right, let's do it. Now, this week's episode picks up with the aftermath of Unique's crew hitting the stash house. And so let's talk about the first thing that we saw in the episode is there a snitch in the house? Now, because of the bum rush on the stash house, there's a belief that there might be a rat in the family. Now, Kanan, he suspects that it's Scrap because he was sick the day that they were supposed to shut down the house and move the product and money to the bodega. Jukebox, she believes it was Davina that may have given information to Unique about the spot because of her connection to Buck 20. She tells Kanan, and he threatens to reveal her sexuality if she says anything. Now, although Kanan stated that Jukebox is his heart, he stated that in the first episode, and we know that he killed her in power. Uh, what did you think, Calvin? What did you think of his threat in reaction to her suggestion?
Well, first of all, I want to recognize Kanan wearing the 33 Patrick Ewing Georgetown jersey, which back in the day, everybody thought Georgetown was a black school. And when we found out that it wasn't a black school, everybody was like, are you kidding me? Because the basketball team is all black. But that was a crazy throwback. And then he had the fresh edge. Well, I don't know how fresh they were. They looked a little warped.
Right.
Plus, they had blood on it and all. But he still had the fresh ass Georgetown jersey on, the Patrick Ewing. But
Right.
anyway, so yeah, we talked about how small their crew was last week, with Rock and her two brothers, and now Kanan's in on the group. So yeah, he's real defensive and real protective about his mom and the whole crew, and also he probably feels some sort of guilt. He wasn't supposed to be there. He was there when it got hit. So when Jukebox said something, Jukebox, he was kind of like, "Yo, watch your fucking mouth. How you talking about people?" So I think he's being a little defensive about his family, and that happens. Family squabble, as we'll talk about later. Family squabble. So Jukebox is part of the family, as we'll eventually find out in Power. But we knew Jukebox is close to the family, so it kind of happens. But Kanan is being real protective, and that he should be. But I think he's feeling some guilt also.
Man, he letting his schoolboy crush kind of blind him. It's MOB, money over booty. And so, Kanan, you got to keep your eyes open. It may have been Davina, and we know it was Davina that gave a little info about the stash. And you want to be in the business, you can't bring everybody by the house. So you have some responsibility in it as well because you brought her outside to buy the spot. And so
That
yeah,
guilt.
he got a little guilt because it's like, yeah, I did tell her to come through. And so I think that, it's definitely his heart strings are in play in terms of it can never be Davina because, that's my boo. And so we shall see. Kanan, he has trust issues with women. We saw that in Power. And so, maybe this is the beginning of his trust issues with women. And so, yeah, I wasn't taken aback by it because, of course you're gonna stick up for your girl because you never think your girl can do any wrong.
It's not
Now,
his girl though. It's not his girl yet.
I mean, it is his girl. They didn't kiss. He didn't gave her. He didn't brought the groceries. Calvin. I mean, that was his motivation
Well,
for getting into the game because Buck 20 was in the game.
uh, not his girl. No, I'll just say
That
that.
if you ask, I bet you if you ask him, that's his girl. I
Right,
know it ain't a
right,
real
right,
person,
right.
but in his mind, that's his girl. Okay, they didn't had a little tongue. They ain't had no tongue battle, but they swapped a little spit. He brought the groceries by. He trying to make Davina misstart. So that's true. But she might not say that's her boyfriend. So I agree with you. All right, let's talk about the first shall be last. We learned a little more about the family dynamic between the Thomas siblings. And that's funny. They got my last name, the Thomases. And so it appears that Marvin, the oldest of the three, he had a chance to lead the family, but because he couldn't uh, keep his mouth shut, he was knocked and had to do a up north bid. And so that is why Rock is leading. We also see the tension between Marvin and Lou. And so Marvin, he is the more impulsive of the two, while Lou, the youngest, he's more calculating and measured. So what did you make of the beef? And are you concerned about Marvin possibly being the weak link of the family?
So Marvin has always, and we briefly touched on it last week. He drives this bright red Mercedes. He likes the jewelry. He's kind of flashy. He's the one that's going to get you popped with all the flashiness. He's fearless. He has some street smarts with him, but he likes to be out front. And I think, just like Rock said, you got locked up, and I had to come in and take over. Rock is much more level headed. But yeah, I'm not worried about their beat brothers fight. I mean, and we were watching it. We were like, at least they're fighting and not pulling out guns, trying to kill each other. They'll be fine.
Right,
Um,
right,
I am a little worried. You get a little worried about him. He's always questioning the moves that Rock is making. He was questioning that high rise move, although he was going to be the enforcer. The one thing I do like about him is he questions privately, but he supports publicly. No
right.
matter what someone else says something, he'll slap them in their mouth. He ain't out there going against them publicly. So he does that privately, but he falls right in line at least to save face for the entire crew. So I do like that, but I'm not worried about him and his beef with his brother, even though he did hit a little low blow. What do you call it? Nick Quincy Jones?
Yeah,
Quincy
little fake
Jones
Quincy
ass.
Jones. You up in here trying to produce records and whatnot. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's a good thing. You're right. It's not like he's really hating. If he has an issue, he does. He puts it out there. He says what his issue is. But if everybody says, Rock says, let's go this way, he gets on board. And so, I think I want to see how this dynamic plays out because Marvin, although he follows, you can tell he resents having to follow his sister. Lou, he's okay. It keeps him in the background. He's just, he's kind of almost like a ghost type character, in the sense of behind the scenes, in the background, rarely speaks, just shows up and does what he's supposed to do. And so, yeah, although Marvin, he goes along, it's more like he goes along to get along. I got to go along because, these are my people. But if I had my shot, that's what type of dude he seemed like to me. If I was in charge, I would be doing
Right.
X, Y, Z. And so
But I
I
don't
want
now
to.
I
Go ahead.
you said he resents. I don't think he resents her or what she says. I think he would do things differently. But it seems like it's been proven the things that she says and the moves she makes has been working. So yeah, he has no choice but to really kind of fall in line and look back and say, yeah, I would do something different, but this is working. I don't think he likes how being the older brother he gets bossed around. I don't think he likes that, but I don't think he resents it. Like I don't think he's looking to, take over and stab anybody in the back. But I just don't think he likes it. I think he's just
Right,
like, y'all need to chill. Before I had to slap somebody around here, like
right,
he just tried
right,
to do. Well, I had to slap one of y'all around here.
right. Deshaun brought up that Keenan technically is a snitch, and that's true. He did. He snitched out. He trying to get some of the heat off of him. That's why he bringing up Scrap because yeah, he brought the heat to the crib, and so I agree with that. All right, so let's talk about this. I kissed the girl and I liked it. Jukebox and Nicole got caught by her mother making out, and she threatens Juke, makes some very homophobic comments, and then puts her out the house. The father's coming in like, "Hey, what's going on in here? I don't understand. What's wrong with you guys? Did something happen?" And so we already knew they were going to get caught. That was set up last episode. They all laying
Yeah,
up in the
yeah,
bed, and yeah, they ain't locking the door. Come on, lock
yeah.
the door. You doing something mad? Knock the door. Make them knock. But anyway, Juke and Nicole, they got caught hooking up, and so this scene, it speaks to the issue of acceptance of the LGBTQIA. I got all the alphabets in community, and so Laverne or Jukebox, as we know her, she was fine as long as the relationship appeared. Her mother, Nicole's mother, was fine as long as the relationship appeared to be platonic. But once it was revealed to be more, uh, she flips. And so, what are your thoughts about this storyline and how this plays out for Jukebox?
So it's actually, even though it seems like it could be a played out storyline, it's really not a bad storyline.
Mhm.
It's not stereotypical because I thought she was going to come in and say something like "Get your black ass out of my house." She
Right,
didn't. She
right,
didn't drop
right,
the race card on it at all. She was just shocked that this chick was on her daughter. She said, "Next time I'll charge you with rape." And the daughter didn't sell her out. Usually in scenes like this, the daughter will say, "She forced me to do it." The daughter was like, "Nah, I kissed her." Like she ain't
right,
kissed me, I kissed her. So yeah, I actually like the storyline. I like Jukebox's storyline. We didn't know that she could sing when she was in power because she was just,
right,
the gay cop, the DC cop, so we didn't know she could
right,
sing. We didn't know she had
right,
talent. I like the reason why they call it jukebox. They would give her 25 cents to sing any song and she would sing it. So I like all that. So I actually like her and I like the storyline. By the way, she is in Aretha. We kind of saw the
yeah,
previews of
I told you
Aretha.
that.
She is
Yeah,
in that movie with Jennifer Hudson that just came out. So yeah, it's pretty. I like Juke. I like Juke, and I like the storyline.
yeah. Haley Kilgore is the actress's name, and I was like, yo, as I'm watching the movie, like I've seen her somewhere. I've seen her somewhere. Then I was like, oh my god, it's Jukebox and all, and so yeah, she does a great job in Aretha. She shows her singing talent in there, and she comes from the stage as well as Patina Miller, who plays Raquel. They're both out of the theater and been Tony nominated. I think Patina Miller has won a Tony for a musical as a lead in a
I
musical,
didn't
and
know
so
that.
yeah, they're both very talented singers. I think Patina Miller was in the um, Broadway version of Sister Act, and so that
Okay.
won. Yeah, so several years ago. Shanika, she said she definitely ain't getting no more spaghetti.
she ain't like
No,
that. She ain't like that white people spaghetti anyway, as we found
right,
out, because
right.
she like that shit.
Yeah, they don't bump it up. Okay, you could use the ragu, you could use the prego, but yo, throw some spices up on there. Let's season the meat. Don't cook the meat separately, and you got the salsa in one place. You don't combine them, and yeah, y'all playing a lot of games with y'all spaghetti and stuff.
But now Jukebox was talking about baked spaghetti with the cheese you throw it in the oven. Now that
Oh,
wasn't an everyday spaghetti meal. That was like a weekend or
right,
special occasion spaghetti. She was talking about that's how we make ours. I'm like, y'all get that every day. But then I forgot your father liked to eat and he a drug
right,
dealer, so you probably are getting baked spaghetti every day because I didn't get baked spaghetti every time spaghetti was made.
right, right. They playing
But
games.
I did get the spaghetti where it wasn't no spaghetti, and then you pour the sauce on it. You pour the sauce and the meat and the seasoning and all that was mixed in. So if you wanted some spaghetti, you just dug in the bowl and it was all mixed in for you.
Right, right, right. I remember when I was in college, man, we couldn't afford ground beef, and so we would make the spaghetti without the meat and just the sauce. And be looking at the bottle, praying that meat would show up because on the bottle it shows that it got meat in the sauce. Man, there was some poor times.
meat shavings.
meat, meat essence.
Who said somebody said no sugar in the spaghetti? Absolutely no sugar in the
Yeah,
spaghetti,
don't do that.
but it's okay to put sugar in your grits. I don't care what you say. It's okay to put sugar in your grits.
I don't even like grits. I don't care what you do with them. Throw them in the trash. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry. ATB.
Ooh,
I like cream of wheat, and so I don't even
ooh,
get down with that. Yeah, I
ooh,
know
you just
that was
went from
hard.
all you went from all things black to all things whack. Whoa.
I know I'm choosing violence tonight, but I don't even want to get into. Yeah, you putting sugar in spaghetti. Yeah, that's struggle spaghetti right there. That's some old. I wish it had some flavor to it. And so yeah, don't do that to yourself. Thank you, Deshaun.
Oh, it's a couple. It's a couple.
Yeah,
Wood and Deshaun get grits out of
thank you,
it.
Wood.
Oh, oh,
Yeah, Nook, stand up. So thank you, yo.
oh,
All right.
oh,
So
oh.
in the bombshell of last night's episode, I am the daddy. Now, we were introduced to Detective Malcolm Howard in the beginning of the series. He was in the pilot episode, and we learned a little bit about him. I think it was the last episode that he's dealing with a rare form of cancer, and he needs a family donation, maybe a blood donor or a bone donor, something, bone marrow donor. And if he
Mm,
doesn't get it, it's terminal, and he's not going to last too long. And so we see Detective Malcolm Howard. He gives us more insight about Kanan's father, Defcon, who was a drug kingpin that he says should be on the Mount Rushmore of Queens drug dealers, which makes Kanan drug royalty. Now, because of the recent murders in the neighborhood, Detective Howard and his partner, they've been following Kanan's mother. But on this particular day, they decide to peel off and follow Kanan because Kanan's doing some shifty stuff. And so they follow Kanan and they come upon Kanan. He's confronting Scrap about the stash house being hit. And so Howard breaks up the fight and he takes both Kanan and Scrap in to the station to get some more intel, and in the process of getting the information, he realizes that Kanan was conceived and born after DEFCON was already in federal prison. And so, with this information, he confronts Rock, who it appears that he had a romantic relationship with, about who Kanan's real father is, which he believes is himself. So that was a wowzer. Now we kind of guessed on the first episode that there was a relationship, at least adversarial, between Rock and Detective Howard. When he showed up, when they was busting the shots at Kanan and trying to talk to Kanan and stuff. So you could tell that they had some type of dialogue or relationship. But now we're about to see that maybe Kanan come from one time. Kanan's got a father that's the police, possibly. We don't know this, but Rock denies it. So man, when he dropped this bombshell, what did you think?
Well, first of all, I had my sights set back on Juice. I could see him putting on his hood and be like, Kanan got the juice now. And then walking off on the side, I was like, let me find out Kanan a little cute. He about to be a DJ and a drug dealer. Kanan a little cute up in here. Hey man, it was definitely a bombshell. They led up to it, and And you always know when a woman is guilty because she don't really deny it real wholeheartedly. She's a
Right.
woman guilty. They say something like, "Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit."
Right.
When, guys, when we guilty, we be like, "No, no, no,
No,
that's some
no.
bullshit. That's some bullshit." The women get guilty, they be like, "Get the fuck out of here with some bullshit," like trying to make you feel guilty. They're like,
Like
that's
you an
some
idiot.
bullshit, right? He was looking at her like, "Girl, I've been trying to get back with you forever. You know what I mean? That you ain't gonna tell me that's my son." But yeah,
Right.
we need to talk about how Rock was hitting. He alluded to when they were in the station. Me and your mom go way back, and he didn't quite say we go way back like we were together. He was just saying we go way back, and it just felt like they knew each other growing up. But he was clearly saying, we were
Yeah,
together.
Calvin. That's cool. When one of you boys like, yo, you know her, and you go like, yeah, I know her. Yeah, I know her. We go way back. That means you hit. And so
Uh huh.
when he hit him with that, yeah, oh yeah, we go. I know her. I
Yeah,
know
we
her.
go. I mean,
Very well.
we cool. I've been knowing her. I've been knowing her for a long time.
For a long time.
Long time. He could have hit him with the soul food. Like, yeah, I know old Coke. Oh, she ain't,
See, ain't
your
Coke
mama
got
ain't
some
never tell
sugar?
you I called her old Coca Cola.
Coca-Cola bottle. Yeah. I know old slip and slide. Your mother ain't never told you I used to. Oh, slip and slide, slippery when it's wet. That's what I used to call her. Anyway, go ahead, yo.
Well, look, Shanika said that Kanan has to be smarter and shouldn't have left happening with the blood. I mean, we wasn't talking
Oh,
DNA back then, and
right.
Kanan he ain't had no idea. I can't leave his blood because he gonna go test it and they gonna be my daddy. Like,
Right.
he just ain't want to get locked up. He had to call his mother boyfriend to save him from his mother baby father.
Right. Come on now. Yeah, but
and
he going to get it tested. He going to get it tested, so we're going to find out.
And another thing, like the one now, if I really do like Raising Canaan, but when in any show has a light skinned dude ever come and saved a dark skinned dude from another dark skinned dude? See, first of all, they got it all backwards. Now you got this old light skinned dude coming in and getting smart with a dark skinned dude. Where they do that at? Usually the light skinned dude will walk into the police station and be like, "Excuse me, Mr. Officer, can I get my girlfriend's son? I know he ain't do nothing, sir."
Right. 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 Well, and Shanika, you got another good point. His DNA is in a couple of different places. His DNA is in the stash house because he vomited, and then his
Yeah,
DNA is at the
yeah.
police station. And so,
That's right, Shanika. You're
yeah,
right about
yeah,
that.
could
Kanan's gonna
be,
be linked to a lot of stuff.
yeah,
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 so
yeah,
he gonna be like, either you call me father or I'ma lock your ass up. One or the other. You know.
Daddy. Wow, that's gonna be a blow to Kanan because everybody thinks he's DefCon's son, and so I hope we get like a flashback of a DefCon episode, like showing a DefCon before he went to jail.
DEFCON was back then, so when they show DEFCON, he'd be like, huh, 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 huh. He'd be listening to
Right.
Curtis blowing.
He was in the ball diddy ball, what I call the ball diddy boss stage. Ball diddy dang dang it diggy baldy dang it get it. Yeah, he was back then. When they rap like this and you put it on pause, my man, and then you hit the line.
he, he gonna be dressed like Grandmaster Flash with all that
Right.
wild stuff.
When songs was 20 minutes. Yeah. Ah. Anyway, so let's go over a couple little loose ends. Okay, so you brought it up. You brought up light skin violence. You talked about my man Symphony. Kanan calls him to come bail him out and whatnot. And so this relationship budding between Symphony and Kanan. Kanan's learning some things about New York City. He's talking about the racism and city planning and stuff with the building of what they call inner city highways. As a matter of fact, my people in Baltimore, the inner city highway the highway to nowhere, Route 40, that cuts through West Baltimore. That's a classic example of what Symphony was talking about to Kanan. And as a matter of fact, the person who proposed building that was Robert Moses. Robert Moses consulted with Baltimore on a lot of its uh, how to do its streets and all these things. That's why we have one-way streets and all these other different things. And so, yeah, you don't want to know all that today. Now, I don't think Symphony is the police though. The way that he came off last episode, we was kind of thinking Symphony might be undercover Popo. What you thinking now?
Now, I have a change of heart. I think he is the police now.
You
After
do?
watching him,
The
after
way he
watching
acted.
him in this
Okay.
episode, he literally came off. If you need me for anything, Caden, anything, or you just want to kick it, give me a call. He is absolutely undercover police. He is absolutely, there's no doubt in my mind now. You really like my mom, don't you? Yeah, I do. He is absolutely police. Plus, who names their kid Symphony? And see, this is another thing, and I hate to keep getting into this light skin, dark skin thing, but in Mo Better Blues, the dark skinned dude was named Shadow. Shadow's a
Right.
cool
Shadow.
name, just
Shadow
cool
Henderson.
name.
Shadow.
The light skinned dude in this show is named Symphony. Symphony. You gonna go in the hood and be like, yo, I'm Symphony. Be like, well, whatever, nigga, I'm R&B. What's up? What you trying to do? His name is Symphony.
Somebody said
Thank you.
Symphony is the
Somebody said
Fed.
Symphony is the Fed, and Mama is going to jail. Absolutely, I think Symphony is taking them all down, and this is going to go from raising Canaan to the rise of Canaan. I think this is Symphony is the one that's taking the whole crew down.
I think Shanika, she brings up a great point. How come the housing authority hasn't been called after all these people getting put out their apartments? Well, the housing authority guy, the bookman of the show, he's the person that's putting the people out of the apartments. Of course, they scared, because they might get killed by Rock and her crew. And so she's giving them a nice little chunk of change. Say, here, we taking over your apartment. You can relocate with this, kind of like what Baltimore City does when it decides to give its projects to rich white developers. They give black people money and say, hey, we're going to move you out to Harford County where Garland lives,
Well,
and Edgewood or Randallstown or Pikesville, and we're going to take up all this good space. And so,
and it's
yeah,
it's it's funny Shanika brings that up because it was something we talked about last week that actually came out. Remember, we were like, so they got this daggone trap house, this stash house, and ain't nobody around there. They actually called police. They said they heard gunshots and they seen
right.
cars, but they didn't see anybody. So yeah, we'd say technically he's not putting them out. He's replacing them with another apartment. Well, I don't know what she gave dude, but they beat dude up, and dude ain't really had no choice but to leave. So hopefully
Right.
she gave him something for his relocation and his ass kicking. So hopefully,
Hopefully.
is Omar Helps going to help Kanan run the streets? Nah, nah.
I don't think
Omar,
so
he
because
going to try to get his son off the streets.
yeah, I think Howard is a guy with integrity, although he does things right on the line. He's your typical policeman. It's funny. I met Omar Epps a couple years ago. He wrote a book. It's kind of like a fatherhood guide and all. A very nice guy, and super cool dude. And so I got an autograph book and a picture somewhere with me and Omar Epps. I whispered in his ear. I was like, "You got the juice, man." So yeah, that was my man.
Um, Deshaun said that there's not even a cool short version of Symphony. That's because the short version is Simp, and I don't
Simp.
know how cool you can get with
Or
Simp.
they can call him
So
uh, knee.
phony. They can call him
Phony.
phony.
Phony. Call him
They
phony.
call him
There you
phony.
go.
Um, Shanika want to know did Rock set up the other drug dealer with the guy? But I think she did. So when she got him in the car, we all think that she got him to go in there and try to switch sides.
Yeah,
And
as a matter of fact, I was
I
gonna
think
bring up
because she was
right.
smart,
Yeah, so
they
now
talked
Rock is
about.
using Scrap as a double agent inside
Yep.
Unique's crew. And so he's doing some homeland stuff, like Carrie when she went in and she's a double agent. We seeing Scrap now, it's kind of like the Godfather when Luca Brasi decided he wanted to lead the family and he went to the other family and said, hey, I'm a, fuck Don Corleone. I work with you now, and of course, Luca Brasi he ended up sleeping with the fishes. If you never seen Godfather, but we'll see what happens to Scrap. Now, let me say this: Kanan, and someone brought this up earlier. Kanan learns how to cook the product. Now, I'm going to say this about TV, Calvin. Sometimes I think we go too far with TV because if you want to be a little button, Tony Montana, or a little cocaine from Minister Society, you got your lesson on how to cook up the rock, how to cut it up and package it all right there. It's all right there on Stars. You want to know how to cook up the rock? Watch that episode. Watch episode 5 of Power Book 3.
I mean, the only thing they was missing, just like in Menace to Society, the only thing they was missing was playing Dope Man when they lit it
Right,
up. I was waiting for
right,
Dope Man to come on, but that's not. They didn't even. So they kind of just went through it, and she was just nodding her head. The show that actually showed you how to cook up was Snowfall. If you
right.
remember, in the season of Snowfall with the RZA was like, you know how the RZA talk. You want to know how to cook a son? Let me show you how to cook this. They they cooked that, and he talked through the steps of it and that. So, but yeah, they show you how to cook up some crack. I don't know if that's actually a mistake that they showing us how to cook crack. They know who
Yeah.
watches the shows. I don't know if that's a mistake.
Mm, right. Somebody like, no, they forgot the cinnamon. I normally put cinnamon in my package. Right? Somebody said, I don't use baking soda. I use this. Oh, Deshaun brought up a good point, and Shanika as well. Now, Deshaun, she did have Kanan cover his face when he first, was doing the mix up, and then when he got to the table, that's when he had the little bandana off. She didn't have no bandana on, so I guess because she's a vet, her lungs are probably used to smelling a little cocaine.
Yeah, and I think, and I don't know. I've never done it, ever done it, but I do believe that after a certain amount of time, that does not affect you
Right,
just cooking it up. You would literally have to take it for it to affect you after a certain
right.
amount of time. So I've heard. I've never done it
Yeah, yeah,
myself.
yeah. I mean, that's ICC. ICC has never cooked up no crack.
And listen, Garland was talking about adding cinnamon. I think in Baltimore they add Old Bay to it. They add Old Bay.
That's a good one. Obey, and you get a half and half if you buy it's like a Obey special. And so yeah, hopefully people love that. All right, man. All right, so great episode. Great episode again, building up to something. And so we see what happens next week. What's going to be, how Scrap is going to integrate himself into Unique's crew. Because Kanan's watching him closely, him and Kanan have this beef. Is he going to be successfully able to put himself in the crew to get the information that they need? Want to see how it works out and the projects them taking over. It's like the Carter. It's like New Jack City. They taking over the Carter, so they're going in. They taking over a couple of apartments and stuff, and they doing that work. See what happens with that. Hey, my man Lulu, he got paid. He got little mommy. He got her on the up in the studio and whatnot, up on the jank, and so Lou doing this thing. Jukebox got the singing, so we see what's up. I'm looking forward
Famous
to
out there rapping, famous getting it
famous.
in.
Famous is doing this thing. I think famous is going to kind of be like kind of like a Ja Rule type rapper, rapping about other people's stories. And so he going to take, I think that's going to be a storyline. He's going to take Lulu's persona and use it as his rap thing. Like, Ja Rule took Supreme McGriff. I ain't trying to put out no names. Ain't nobody on here from Queens, right? That's already been documented in the music. 50 didn't already put it out there. So, don't come at us. And so I ain't putting nobody business out there. All right. Uh, do we think Unique is? That's a good question. And you know what? I was thinking that Deshaun. Deshaun asked the question: do we think Unique is loosely based on Supreme? Now, for people who don't know who Supreme McGriff was, Supreme McGriff was a drug kingpin in from Queens. He was the person who was the money allegedly behind Murder Inc., the record label, and he was the leader of World Supreme Team. This was a drug crew out of Queens. Fat Cat Nichols. It's all in the music. Go listen to Nas. Go listen to 50 Cent. You'll find out who Supreme was. And I was thinking that because he's wearing the custom leather jackets, kind of like the Dapper Dan type joints, and that's what Supreme looked like. And so we shall see. Jukebox.
Somebody's asked if
Mhm.
Jukebox as an adult was selling drugs. So when will she go from clothes to drugs? I'm more interested in how she gets in the police department in
Right.
D.C.
Right.
That's what I'm more interested in. But along that lines, we also want to know when Kanan is going to meet Tommy and Ghost and Tasha. I think all that will probably come up, if not the end of this season, maybe next season. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. So.
Yeah. Deshaun said it. Ghetto Quran. That's by 50 Cent. Go listen to that, and you'll get the whole story of Queens right there in that song. And no wonder people wanted to shoot him 9 times because he put everybody's business out in a song, and he did it very well because it all rhymed. So shout out to 50. All right, man. So let's tie this up. You got any closing thoughts? I'll let you go first this evening.
Yeah, man. So, just something I learned over the weekend and just did some loose research. So, I want to do a little more research on it, but I did some loose research, and from what I've gathered, this could actually be true. So, we all know that racism is embedded in a lot of things that we know about, but there's also some things that we don't even think about that racism could be embedded in. And over the weekend, we were at a party and we were having different discussions on things, which was really good. And shout out to the host, Bria, for inviting us always and us having great discussions with her friends and family. But it was said that, how in the House of Representatives, of course, is made up of the two party system. And the House of Representatives has a number of representatives in it. And it's not like the Senate that has 50. It has a number of representatives, and some states have more, some states have less, of course. And that is because it's based on the population of the state. So right now, the Democrats are in control of the House and Representative, and of course, the Senate too. The House of Representatives seems to be really on a path that may be changing. But here's one thing that happens that we don't realize. Everyone sees these lists that come out every now and then, and a lot of the lists will say some of the greatest places to live in America, some of the worst places to live in America. If you ever read the ones, especially the ones that are the worst places, you'll get the Democratic cities like Baltimore, DC. Well, DC doesn't have the taxation without representation, but Baltimore, New York, Detroit, Chicago. And not that these cities aren't bad, but they make them so terrible. And they put that in a list that tells you that they are the worst places to live. Conversely, when they show the best places to live, there are a lot of Republican cities and states. So, what they are essentially doing is making you want to move away from your Democratic areas to these heavily populated Republican areas. They can then begin to get more representatives in the House of Congress and control the House of Representatives and control the House. So look out for these kinds of things. And it's kind of interesting. I read on it, and you think, well, it's not necessarily black people, because you start looking at things like white flight and where white people are moving because now they're going to populate these states and they're getting more representatives for the state. Maryland, by the way, if you didn't know, Maryland is now a minority majority state. So the minority in Maryland is a majority now, but it's not black people, it's Mexican people. So the black population in Maryland has remained the same, but the Hispanic population has taken it over the top because the white population in the state of Maryland has moved out. So Maryland is now a minority majority state. So just keep an eye out on these racist things and racist tactics that you probably would never see coming unless someone tells you about it. And do some research on that on your own and look into that. But I found that very interesting, how the political game tries to favor, of course, the people that are losing power and no longer want to lose power.
Yeah, that's a great point, Calvin. As well, the census was just released, and Baltimore is still losing its population, particularly in its black neighborhoods. Its majority black neighborhoods, the majority white neighborhoods. A lot of you guys might know the expression, the black butterfly and the white L. You know of
Hmm.
how Baltimore is done demographically in terms of black people live in the majority of West, Northwest, and Southwest Baltimore, northeast, east, and southeast Baltimore, and white people live down the middle of the city, and they bang a left at the Inner Harbor and go out to Canton and Fells Point. Those are the majority of places where white people live, and those neighborhoods grew in population of white people, but the black neighborhoods decreased in population. And so, yeah, there's a lot of work to do, and so keep that in mind definitely. Now, I was going to close on Afghanistan. Seeing all these images over the weekend and what has happened, because as you know, the government, the U.S. government, we've been in Afghanistan for a very, very, very long time. I saw an estimate that the country itself, the United States, has spent over, I think it's up in the mid billions of dollars in Afghanistan, trying to train the people of Afghanistan, get them to have some troops so they could defend their country. As a matter of fact, when I think about Afghanistan, Calvin, America has been involved in Afghanistan all the way back to 1980 when
Yep.
the Jimmy Carter boycotted the 1980 Olympics because Moscow had invaded Afghanistan. And so, because of that, he decided that he would not let the country participate in the Olympic Games. And so, they say that Afghanistan is the place where armies go to die. And that has happened. Russia was there. You had several other countries that tried to go in and insert rule into Afghanistan, and it's never worked. And you can put the United States of America on that list as well. You know, the images that are coming out, people jumping on airplanes as they're trying to take off, people climbing up into terminals, trying to get into airplanes and all, trying to get out because of the Taliban, which is a very religious, right wing Muslim organization that, feeling bad for the women there. They don't believe women should have any duties. Women should not have any power, and they should be totally covered. And so, the institution of all of this back again is going to really shape and change the way that country was trying to go, or the direction that others was trying to send them. And so, just prayers out to them. And seeing that sometimes, think of all that money that was spent in Afghanistan that could have gone to education here, that could have gone to healthcare here, that could have really helped benefit the country, but was just poured into a country where they knew that it was never going to take. And so, prayers out for Afghanistan, and we hope that there's still people there in terms of United States citizens. You got the uh, press corps that's there, so people are still trying to get out, and so hopefully, those people will get back safely.
Yeah, and I think if I read correctly earlier today, they've already started taking down images of women publicly,
Yeah,
images of women on TV, on billboards, everything like that. So I think they've already started doing that. So yeah, we definitely want to it's send our thoughts, prayers. It's a difficult situation over there, and I couldn't. We think that we have it bad, but I couldn't imagine trying to catch a plane that's taken off just to get out of the country, just to save me and
right.
my family. So it's a terrible situation. Um,
But
but that is it for us today, everyone. We thank you for joining us late. The technical difficulties set us back about a half hour, but thanks for joining in. We appreciate it. I don't know if you saw Garland, but we did have one of our first YouTube comments. I think a few months ago, we did get a commenter from YouTube, but we had someone named Jay Jones send some smiley emojis. So we see you out there. you on the YouTube page, on our Twitter page, and of course our Facebook page, our Facebook group page. And if you commented on my personal page, as I said, we won't see it here, but we will get to see it when we go back on, when I go onto my personal page. So anyway, we have our fantasy football league kicking off. The fantasy football league is filled up, but it will kick off. And our first prize, and we'll tell everyone, of course, but our first prize will be $50. Second prize will be $30. Third prize will be $20. Fourth to ninth prize, better luck next year. And if you come in 10th place, we are going to have you make a video of our choosing telling us how bad you are at fantasy football. So all of the fantasy football people that signed up, try not to get in the last place. I'm just saying, try not to get in the last place. But anyway, as always, we thank you all for supporting us. Once again, this is All Things Black with Garland and Calvin. I'm Calvin. He is Garland. That is the championship belt, which we will put up next month. We already have a battle lined up, so we'll talk about it a little later, but we'll do that next month. And
it's coming home.
See how see how he froze. He froze for the lies. The lies made him freeze. Hey, thanks everybody. We hope you all have a safe week, and we will see you next Monday. All right, man.
Peace, everybody.
Have a good one.